Welcome to Sincerely Bhakti. My name is Bhakti Lata, and today we are exploring how Krishna consciousness is the eternal through line. Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verse 43. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life, and he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kuru. So in this chapter, Arjuna has inquired about the absolute truth, and Krishna has explained the process of dhyana yoga, which is meditation on the Supreme Lord. Arjuna has put forth his doubts and concerns. Krishna has addressed them, and now Arjuna has expressed his fear about not achieving full success in his transcendental journey. So Krishna is explaining that progress on the spiritual path is just not like progress in the material path or material world. If you want to achieve anything in the material world, you have to see it to its fullness and completeness. Otherwise, it is and you are considered a failure. And so Krishna is emphasizing in this verse and in the past several verses that any person who is on the transcendental path and does not succeed in this life, he doesn't just disappear into nothingness like a riven cloud, as Arjuna expresses his fear in verse 38. Do I just dissolve into nothingness if I don't achieve spiritual success? And so Krishna is saying, you will be born into a rich family, aristocratic family, a transcendental family. Like, these are very opulent opportunities to take advantage of moving forward in your spiritual life. So in this particular verse, he's saying that you are given the opportunity to revive the divine consciousness that you've cultivated already in a previous life. Prabhupada writes in the purport, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. And, in the previous verse, Srila Prabhupada says, my spiritual master and I, my humble self, have had the opportunity to take birth in such families where you can continue on your spiritual path. And so it's so beautiful here that Prabhupada is emphasizing that the practices of yoga never go in vain. And I was thinking about my own humble self being born into a family of devotees and being able to connect to Krishna as a little girl. And there was no logic and reason there that I could start speculating or doubting or feeling like I have to somehow find God. God was simply there. And I remember being a little girl in the temple, and I would look up at the deities of Krishna and simply know, oh, this is God. God is looking at me. I can see him and he can see me. The altar is a special place. Don't touch it, because that is reserved for very clean, pure people who are there to serve God. I somehow knew it instinctively, and also my mother kind of shared a few things with me. And so having that consciousness from being a young girl, just accepting God as he is without any other hoops to jump through, anything in my mind, oh, these are statues, oh, these are dolls, this is just idol worship, whatever these things that could get in the way, blocking me from connecting to God as a person who's standing right there in front of me. So these doubts came later in my life, but I always had that experience to come back to. And so I often sometimes give advice to people who are going to have children and they want to raise their child in a devotional mood, in a setting, because they know it's not a given, right? That just because you're in a devotional family and you give birth to a child does not mean that they're going to take up spiritual practice, but you can make it more likely that they'll take to it. And all the advice that I'll give is I'll say, just make it a joyful experience. And that will be something written within their heart and their soul. And your child will always return to that, even if they don't return to the practice of this specific spiritual practice. They will return to that experience that God is the place where I can find the most joy and the most satisfaction. So now that I'm a mother myself, that is my goal. My goal is to give my son the opportunity to experience the joy of spiritual practice. And hopefully he'll know and he'll understand that this material world is not his home and that he really does want to go home to Krishna, and he can find that joy within the practice in this life. And so knowing that I'm giving him that opportunity, but at the end of the day, he is his own person. He'll make his own decisions. But I have faith, as it is said here in the Gita, even if he is not successful in this life, in the next life, he can continue on his opportunity. And so it's this eternal through line, that you can think about our births. They're just constantly coming and going and coming and going. But this eternal through line of Krishna is constantly giving us opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to come to him. Eternal, never ending, always, always generous, always giving us that opportunity to come back to him. So how beautiful our Lord is, that we are constantly given the opportunity to learn to love. So thank you for tuning into Sincerely Bhakti. Those are my thoughts on this verse. I'll see you next time. Hare Krishna.